to be checked in order to get the whether entire consideration is passed or not. If no consideration or entire consideration is not passed on, it is always because of the document doesn't get void at the end of the vendor, but it has a legal charge as contemplated under section 100 of the Transfer of Property Act. So it is charge for unpaid consideration. Either document provides if the consideration is not paid, the document is at the option of the vendor is to be revocable, then that exercise can be right. But all these circumstances has to be gathered from the recitals mentioned in the title document. So whenever one comes to you in order to express your expert opinion on the point whether there is a legal and valid title to a vendor or not, and whether the property is to be purchased or not, in that scenario you have to go through the entire contents of the documents, and also never forget to call for the previous chain title documents in order to see whether there are any restrictive covenants or restrictions or any reservations in the document. Maybe sometimes right of reconveyance is there. जनरली आपण असं म्हणतो एखादी खरेदी खत करताना की उलट बोलीचा तोंडी अगर लेखी करार नाही, असा म्हणजे वेदर देर इज अ राईट ऑफ रिकन्व्हेन्स ऑर नॉट. समटाइम्स एखाद्या डॉक्युमेंट मध्ये तुमचा तसा स्पष्ट उल्लेख नसतो, त्याच्यामध्ये लिहिलेलं असतं की सदर खरेदी खत हे उलट बोलीचे किंवा मुदत खरेदी खत नसून कायमखुश खरेदी खत आहे. त्याच वेळेस अशा पार्टीमध्ये असे ठरवलं जातं की आपण एक स्वतंत्र करार करावा की त्यामध्ये एक 5 वर्षांनी किंवा ज्यानंतर जेव्हा केव्हाही प्रॉपर्टी तुम्हाला विकायची असेल तर फर्स्ट राईट ऑफ प्रिएम्प्शन और राईट ऑफ रिकन्व्हेन्स इज with the vendor who has sold to the vendee. Now in that situation these are unregistered document but supplementary or in addition to the registered document. So in that case one has to be very clear, one has to be very cautious to get the information from the vendor or the previous vendor whether he has reserved any right so far in the property for reconveyance or right of repurchase or right of preemption or right or any other like right to hold the property or to revert back to him. Another part, the now purchase deed or sale deed is always from one person to another person. Now if in a sale deed, if you see that if there is a partition between the family and in a partition particular piece of land or the stretch of land or any chunk of land is received, and that particular land is to be passed on to your client and your client requires that particular piece of land, so you have to check the previous title document, that is a partition deed executed between the co-partner or members of the HUF, and whether there is any right of preemption is reserved, because sometimes in order not to pass on the property to a third party or to third person and it should be kept within the family, a provision is also made between the family that the first right of refusal will be the family members who wants to sell that. Now in that case, if without going to the previous title document or chain title document or a partition deed or any decree, then in that case if such right is exist, then you as a lawyer will be at fault to see that you have not make a proper and due diligence in giving a proper legal guidance and consultation to your client and also not verify the title. So in this case, so far as partition are concerned, it is always because right now the land is going to be a scarcity due to because land cannot be increased, but number of purchasers or the urban area is developing, and now the land is in need of every urban, suburban, the rural people, and such species is really it cannot create a new land. So considering the scarcity of a land, the title disputes and unwanted claims or claims based on the undisclosed documents are dominant. We can see as and when we have an issuance of notice in paper, public notice in paper, and where we received objection, maybe that objections are fair enough, or it is just nuisance, or it is just harassment, but that needs to be complied with as and when we face such calamities. Another part of the acquisition of title is that a gift. Now, gift is a transfer of interest. That gift is always without any, gift is voluntarily and without any consideration is a parameter of a gift. Now, title acquired by gift is a good title or not. Mostly it is seen, and it is a question is raised by the parties. In a gift, it is difficult to means if the property is held by a vendor on by gift, and whether he can transfer the title. If there is no restrictive covenants, there is no reservation made in the gift deed, and when the gift deed is absolute, then in that case, the title held by the donee under the gift is good title, and that title can be passed, provided again one has to go and research the previous title documents, all the revenue records, all the 712 extract, all the mutation entries, and check that the title based on the gift is also one of the good title one can hold. Another title or mode of acquisition of title is by way of an exchange. The exchange of property in between two persons. Obviously, both is presumed to be or assumed to be having a good and clear marketable title property. Now, Section 119 of the Transfer of Property Act says exchange of the property. Now that in exchange of property, A exchange his property to B, and B in exchange his property ownership title to other. In that case, it is recommended that both the parties and both the persons or owners having a good and clear marketable title. Now, transferring or exchanging the property, either it should be one equal value or maybe disparity in value. So in that case, either one can make good the difference between the value, or there should be, or maybe no compensation for the or compensate the value of less and higher. Now, in this situation, it is also recommendable that in a exchange deed, sometimes a marketable title of property B is not good enough or imperfect or having some infirmity or having some litigation, and ultimately it's found to be exist. In that case, the person who received the property in exchange of a defective title, he can sue or he can raise a claim against the person, other person, for compensation of the compensation caused due to transfer or in exchange of the property, or he can recover the property. But that again took to a legal recourse. If it is done amicably or in a mutual consensus, that is good enough. Otherwise, one has to knock the doors of the court. So whenever there is a document of an exchange is to be done, an exchange, one has to be very cautious about the clear marketable title of each of the owner's property, and it should fetch the clear possession, clear title, without any reservation, without any litigation. Now, in a general practice, the exchange of two properties are done in good faith and trust, and not casually or generally. So it is always advisable in case of exchange of properties. Say suppose maybe due to one wants to have some better fruits to be taken out of exchanging the property, but it should not happen that because of exchange of property, one should lose his valuable right in exchange of that. So exchange, whenever the document of exchange is to be relied upon or is to be seen, it has to be seen title of the two properties simultaneously, and one should not limit to check the one property received in exchange deed. So whenever exchange deed, we have to check the two, cross-check the two properties and incidents of titles since last 30 and more years. Now, another part of acquisition of title, acquisition of immovable property is by way of grant. Now, grant means the government land or land belongs to a sovereign, which is given to an individual for, and generally that grant or the person who received the property in grant is always on new tenure. Maybe it is a long lease, or maybe it will be a ownership property based on a very basic concept that it is given for some some objectives and not for transfer, because grant is a government land. It is given under various statutes. Now, what that statutes are that? Now, grant, we can say also Inam land, or we can also say an award given by government to various persons. Maybe let us take a case of the things that property under the Maharashtra Agricultural Ceiling Act, the property excess properties has been, or excess holding has been acquired by the government, and it is given to a landless people or laborers under the socio-economic justice. In that case, the land granted to such person or grantee is held on new tenure. Now, that new tenure means unalienable. That property cannot be transferred. It has to be enjoyed. That property cannot be transferred, that property cannot be mortgaged, that property cannot be leased it out, that property cannot be divided. Only by way of succession that can be transferred or passed on to his legal heirs. Now, such properties are various Inam land, various lands acquired under the Bombay Tenancy Act, under the land distributed under the Maharashtra Land Revenue Code. So that particular lands are lands given by way of grant, means without any consideration for the benefit of a particular person. Now, these lands these lands granted are always on a new tenure. While one is dealing with that particular lands, the new tenure land, one has to bear in mind that this particular land is unalienable, non-transferable, and if it is transferable, a permission from the government is must. The government means either a collector of the district or the divisional commissioner, as the case may be. In such type of land, though there are no antecedent, means the government land, they have the sovereign, they have the land, so there cannot be a previous title document. So in that case, the legal search and title recommendable is last 12 years. Now, why last 12 years? Because to establish any title in a land is 12 years, means to claim adverse, another species of acquisition of title is adverse possession or title by prescription. Now, adverse possession says that as per section 27 of the Limitation Act, the claim to claim a title based on the possession or possessory title is a 12 years continuous, openly, peaceably, without any interruption, is the precondition to acquire adverse possession. So, these 12 years is recommended for this, going back to trace out the title documents or to the land record, and that particular section 27 and the search 12 years is connected to that. Another part of the taking out a search for 30 years is recommended. What is the logic behind this 30 years? What is the logic behind more than 12 years or 13 years? 13 years means 12 years to establish a title based on the possession or adverse possession or by title based on prescription. Now, 30 years is title, 30 year search is recommended. Why? Because of Article 61 of the Limitation Act, wherein a right to redeem immovable property, a right to redeem a mortgage is recommended. The time period is 30 years. So one executed a mortgage of a particular land for 5 years or 10 years or 20 years, that right to redeem the mortgage, the period of limitation prescribed under the Limitation Act is 30 years, means up to 30 years one holds. After the end of 30 years, the right to redeem is lost. So within 30 years, a right one can claim the redemption of a mortgage. So obviously the title is with the original mortgagor and not passed on to the mortgagee, even though the period of mortgage is over. So these 12 years and 30 years is based on the limitations to get the title or to redeem the property, is the legal terminology or legal based on that. Now, another part of acquisition, just I told you, these testamentary succession I have discussed with you. Another two aspects of acquisition of right, not a title, I can say. One is a mortgage and another is a lease. So mortgage is a transfer of interest for securing the money to be advanced and to be paid, and another is a lease for enjoyment of a property for a certain period, that is the interest passed on and not the ownership. So now in both these, mortgage and lease, so lease is not document of title, but it acquires interest. Either it is a perpetual leasehold rights or limited leasehold rights. In a mortgage also, there are 4 types of mortgage, but one type of mortgage is very important, is mortgage by conditional sale, wherein it is particular for particular period, a mortgage is done with a condition to sell. If the mortgage is not redeemed in particular period, 5 years, then the mortgage has right to file a suit for foreclosure and to treat that mortgage as an absolute sale. Now, in this case, who initiate first is important. If the mortgager initiate first for foreclosure, then he can very well redeem that property. But same time, if the mortgagee goes to the court and asks for a foreclosure, in that case, he will succeed and he will be declared as an absolute owner on the basis of mortgage by conditional sale. Now, again, this foreclosure, one has to go immediately, or for redemption, the limitation is also prescribed as 30 years. So in both the situations, who is smart enough to approach to the court is also seen. Now, these are the acquisition of titles. Another part of acquisition of title is that another part is that acquisition by auction sale, public auction sale. In auction, one can get the property through court sale or through bank sale. Even that sale certificate is a good type of title. Only precaution one has to see in the auction sale is that the property generally sold on as is where is basis. When there is as is where is basis, there are number of issues involved in that. In case of property held by the company or any legal entity, it is the government dues, the sales tax, the other income tax, and other the property tax and whatnot. So in that case, whenever you purchased on as is where is basis, the auction purchaser is bound by the liabilities attached and fastened to that particular property. So whenever you are dealing with or tracing the title of such property based on the auction purchase, one has to be very clear that whether these particular liabilities are vested with the property or not. Now, another part of the acquisition of the property is whenever the property is purchased by from the what we say that joint family property or co-partnership property, when then all the parties to the documents are there or not, whether the total family tree or family pedigree has to be taken care of, all members of the HUF to be consenting or confirming part to the document to be seen. If any of the, also it is to be seen that whether minor's interest is protected or not, or there is a minor's interest or not, whether there is widow's interest or there. In this case, whenever we have a document, instance of documents, one has to see that all the chain title documents to be done. Now, so far as all of us are aware that the 712 extract, the land record is started preparing since 1928-29. जे 712 जो आहे तो लँड रेव्हेन्यू कोड प्रमाणे 1928-29 पासून सुरू झाला. त्याच्यापूर्वी इट वॉज कडई पत्रक. Now, the 712 extract starts from 28-29. You have to call for all the 712 extracts. In that 712 extract, you have to see that all the mutation entries to be called for. Because when there is an ancestral property or any property acquired through the families, there are certain instances wherein life interest is created, right of maintenance is created. As per our Hindu practice, the name of only one male member is recorded as Karta and HUF. त्याच्या खाली एक उमे असा उल्लेख असायचा. And over the period of time, by rewriting the 712 extracts on a new page, a clerical omission obviously had happened, and that the HUF or Ekumya entry is disappeared, and later on that particular HUF member is died, and then only his legal heirs are mutated. Now, म्हणजे असं उदाहरण घ्या की एक व्यक्ती होती आणि तो वारल्यानंतर त्याची BCDE अशी 4 मुलं होती. त्यापैकी फक्त बीचं नाव एकुम्या म्हणून लागलं. कालांतराने 15-20 वर्षांनी बीचं निधन झालं. बीच्या निधनानंतर सातबारा लिहिताना वारसांनी बीच्या वारसांनी फक्त त्यांची नावं लावली आणि एकुम्याची नोंद उडून गेली. परंतु in fact, the mutation entry says that other 3 brothers are having a legal heirship in the property or they have succession. Over the period of time, ती प्रॉपर्टी त्या पर्टिक्युलर फॅमिली कडून ट्रान्सफर केली जायची. ट्रान्सफर केल्यानंतर again it change hands to multiple numbers and it comes to our client and we see that 3 brothers right has been denied, or rather it is discarded and the property title is transferred. In that situation, it is advisable to have that, because one cannot lose the right of succession or one cannot lose the right of partition up to 4th. Means one can claim the partition up to 4th degree. 4 पिढ्यांपर्यंत आपल्याला तो राईट, 4 पिढ्यानंतर वाटपाचा राईट आपला डिसअपिअर होतो ऍज पर हिंदू लॉ. म्हणून त्या केसमध्ये जर एखादा माणूस जर त्याचे राईट्स गेले असतील तर वन हॅज टू चेक व्हेरी categorically, very critically, whether such right of succession is discarded or not. While scrutinizing the title, the land records are maintained in such a way either the 7 table extract is not readable, witnesses are not available. Sometimes the another species of maintaining the record, we can find that the consolidation scheme has been implemented on or about 1968-69 in certain villages of Maharashtra, wherein the survey number of the land has been consolidated in order to better cultivation and in order to avoid the fragmentation. So small piece of land is clubbed together and make a larger one. In consolidation proceeding, it is a notorious thing that has happened, that the consolidation proceeding has been happened by sitting in the office. Actual exchange of possession, actual exchange of giving effect was not done. Consolidation मध्ये 4 नंबर 4 पोट हिस्सा एकत्र केले गेले, परंतु ते करताना त्याच्यातले ताबे हे ट्रान्सफर व्हायला पाहिजे होते, ते ताबे ट्रान्सफर झाले नाही. त्यामुळे कन्सॉलिडेशन स्कीम मध्ये आजही देर इज अ वास्ट फील्ड ऑफ डिस्प्यूट की पोझेशन हे जुन्या व्यक्तीकडेच आहे. कन्सॉलिडेशन मध्ये गट नंबर 1 is owned by A, but possession is belongs to C. Cut number B is owned by C, but possession is with A. आणि मग त्यावेळेस ज्यावेळेस थर्ड पार्टी जोपर्यंत इस्टॅब्लिश पोझेशन कल्टिवेशन आहे तोपर्यंत वाद नव्हतो. when there is a change hand, there is a partition or there is a development of the property, say now one has to demarcate the land from the survey department. In that case, it is found that the gut number and the 7 table extract which is going to be measured or recorded and possession actually shown is totally altogether different. And then there is a very vast disputes between the families, and mostly that dispute either between the real brothers or the close relatives or the new purchasers who happens to be in possession of the property. Or sometimes one gets or tries to develop that land, as the situation one very well knows that the land in the Pune and around or everywhere in Maharashtra or metro cities is here now very short. The horizontal expansion of the cities is but obvious, and vertical expansion is not possible due to so many of legal complexes. Therefore, the need for keeping the land record, keeping the survey record intact and up to date is a must procedure. Now, when we are dealing with a acquisition of title will happen as land record and previous title documents or the court orders, wherein sometimes whenever we are dealing with the scrutiny of title, say now let us take a case that one ex-builder comes to you with the proposal that, sir, I am taking this land, please kindly prima facie give us the title opinion, or very preliminary opinion one can give. Preliminary opinion based on the title document or based on the 7 table extract or the land record or property card, whatever is there. This is based on the available title document. Sometimes that record may be defective, may be effective, but prima facie we assume that we assume that the entries made in the revenue records are good enough unless rebutted by the order of the proper authority. Now, in this situation, what is important is seen that a 7-table extract is come forward to us. We call for mutations. Same time, we see the other right column. When the 7-table extract comes to you, now let us take a 7-table extract. As Pune, we don't have now the PR card process is going on, but not is done so far. The 7-table extract is such a species of a prima facie document of title where we can say it is a mirror. Now, in that situation, it can be seen that entries of the cultivator or owner in Kabjadar column, there are entries in other right column. Other right column says now, whenever we saw that there is a free clear marketable title property, or it is an encumbered property, or it is a property of a new tenure property, also we called it is encumbered property. There are instances that the few properties are having certain instances of relating to a land record. Now, land record means Watan land. There are Watan land of various kinds: Ramoshi Watan land, Mahar Watan land, Devasthan Inam land, then Kulkarni, Patil Watan land, Paragna Watan land, SC, ST, then project affected persons land. Another important aspect, or another land which is very, very important in the aspect of seeing, verifying the title, or when you make a scrutiny, is a forest land. Now, what happened that forest land, the British government in 1869 made a vast survey in India and declared certain dense forested as a reserved forest area. And reserved forest is declared in 1869, and they made a gazette of that. That particular gazette, again, slightly deviating because it is a very important aspect of the giving us or scrutinizing the title, marketable title, and giving opinion on the point, because so many of projects are stuck due to this forest land, because that forest land is never disclosed or appeared on the 7-table extract because of various mistakes made by the revenue officers or ignorance by the revenue officers, wherein the land which are reserved forest is not usable or utilizable for anything. Now, what happened in 1902, the British government has found that certain pasture land, we called it pasture land, म्हणजे गायरान जमिनी होत्या, गावाला किंवा गावाच्या आजूबाजूला लागून, wherein there is no actually the forest or trees planted or trees standing thereon, but it is a grazing land. Now that particular land is assigned to the collector for maintenance purpose, that is called mulki forest. The word used on the 7-12 extract is a mulki forest. So mulki forest म्हणजे तिथं revenue forest त्यांनी mulki forest केलं. That mulki forest land does not lose its status of reserved forest, but over the period of time and after getting the independence, that particular process of mulki forest is continued, and after independence, it is observed that the sovereign, the state and the central government requires many projects to be implemented for the public purpose. Now, that what the public purpose, projection, the various dams, power stations, then other things. So now let us take off a case of making a dam for water purpose and irrigation purpose. Now let us take a case of one. We say that it is a Panset Dam, which was, the land was supposed to be acquired since 1955 till 65, and various lands in the village Vella, village Haveli, Bhor has been acquired, and that particular dam is done. And the many of the land of the villagers has been acquired in that acquisition proceeding for the public utility project, and that in acquisition of the land, under the land acquisition, in along with the cash component, the government has also thought fit the person who are affected by this project has to be resettled, and they should be given land against land to some other place, wherein now these lands acquired by the government are in the pocket of the government were given. Now, as having done exhaustive study on the point of forest land, particularly Haveli and Pune Jilla, I have observed that, and there is a record, almost 55 to 60,000 hectares of land of the forest without deforestation being allotted to these PAPs, project affected persons. Now, as on date, if these people wants to make development on their own land, the government, the forest department does not allow them even to construct or lay even any single water pipeline, even a road, even any structure of any kind, including say the electric lines, then godowns or the farmhouse, they immediately obstructed. They got the property, they got their name recorded to the 712 extract. But as on date, when we are going to develop that land, we want to now the various agriculturists, now the lands are abutting to Pune and city, near about to suburban areas, and they can make a development of the land. So whenever they approached to the government, they found, surprised to know that after 50, 60 years of their getting this land, they found that these land are encumbered land. Now, right up to the Supreme Court, they fought it out and they failed, because Supreme Court held that the land allotted by the state government to the PAPs are encumbered land and it cannot be disforested because of this. We are all quite aware of this deforestation at the hands of the government and the all forest mafia. So there is a CEC, Central Empowerment Committee, who is looking after all these aspects and giving opinions in case of real case of deforestation. But as far as the Forest Conservation Act 1980s passed on, and from 25th October 1980, from that onwards, no state government is empowered or powered with dealing with the forest land, reserved forest land. Now that vests with the central government. In such situation, now there are people, now I have quoted the figure of 55 to 60 hectares of land in the 1,000 hectares of land which is encumbered, given to the agriculturists. They cannot transfer the title, they cannot develop the land, but they got in lieu of their acquired land. Now this situation is a vast concern. So whenever one comes to you for development of a land, purchase of a land, one has to check what are the required documents. So whenever first comes to you, see, now let us take as I said, a developer comes to you, wants to buy a land. You have to make very first prima facie checklist. These documents are required. Now you can make a one footnote on that. This list is limited up to getting the document. After scrutiny of the document as required, the further documents will be called for. Now, what are these documents? Now, let us take a case of property is within the corporation limit and it falls in some Hadapsar. Now, Hadapsar, the corporation is having a sanctioned development plan where the end use of the land is recommended, and end use of the land recommended is also, we have to get confirm that whether that piece of land is affected by any reservation or it is fully developable or not, whether it is type of any new tenure land, means applicable or payable for the Nazrana to the government, or is any type of Inam land, or even a reserved forest land. Sometimes in a reserved forest land are also disforested. Once the land is disforested, yes, you can put the land for any use as per or within the ambit of the statute as per the development plan. Now, why the DP builder is come to you, and builder, because the giving title opinion or legal title scrutiny opinion is vastly required since early 70s, from the day the MOFA Act 1963 is passed, then Maharashtra Apartment Ownership Act 1970 has passed, and recently we have the RERA 2016 along with the MOFA. So now simultaneously the urbanization has coming up since last 20, 25, 30 years in a very vast manner. The scarcity of land is there. The quantity of disputed land is also a vast in the nature, wherein one can see if you want to give a clear title opinion, basically to give a clear title opinion is a nightmare in this current situation, because considering various laws, the maintenance of land record, the title, the previous chain title document and other things, we assume that there is no pending litigation or it is everything in order. But the thing is that whenever comes to you, you have to give a checklist for since last 19, 20, 28, 29, 30 years old title documents along with the revenue records, along with the consolidation records, along with the survey maps, the demarcation map, also to check the whether there is a Inam land. You have to get a alienation registration extract from the Department of Archaeology or from the collector's office or from the Tehsildar's office to check the position whether this land is Inam land or not. Because sometimes Inam lands, whenever the Inam lands are concerned and is to be developed, the 50% of the land, 50% of the market value is to be paid to the government as a nazarana, and sometimes even additional 25% is also to be paid in case of violation of any Inam land or any violation transfer in violation of the existing law. Now that aspect of Watan land tenancy is another aspect of dealing, and we can discuss on the point in some other seminar. Watan land now, the right now, if we see in Pune and around or the Haveli Tehsil, the clear marketable title property are very less. Whatever property left are either litigated property or Watan land or government grant land, which needs to be acquired with the permission from the collector. Now, title, it is a vast issue, it is a complex issue, it is a vexed issue. One cannot surely say that yes, what I certified is clear and marketable title, because it involves so many of landlords, so many of stakeholders, so many of rights. Now, doing search of a particular property. Now, search can be done in 3-4 ways. Search with the sub-registrar's office. That sub-registrar's office is site is igrmaharashtra.gov.in, wherein one can get the searches done for the transaction of sale, purchase, mortgage, lease pendants. That is one search that can be done by a clerk search or on-site or even a physical. Now, physical search is, again, it is very difficult, as we know that so far as Haveli is concerned, we have initially 2 offices up to 1991, and thereafter in 93 there were 9 offices. Again in 2002 there were 16 offices, and thereafter now it is increased up to 28 or 29 offices in the Haveli. Now, where since 2005 onwards one can have the online, 2002 onwards one can have the online search on particular site by paying the fees or without paying the fees. There are 2 options: free process and paid process. Now, one can, it is always better if you want to give a search report officially with the search sheet, better go for the paid process. Even there are agencies who can do and carry out such searches and get that report, but obviously doing it at personal or at office level or in-house is good enough to very well get that particular searches and search instances to know and to give exact detail. Another type of search is the revenue land record search. That land record search is, the site is Bhulekh, BHULEKH.mahabhumi.gov.in. Now, in that, one can get the 712 extract, the details, exact position of the 712 extract, because there is 712 land record is on online now, with certain, now since 2016 onwards, it is perfectly online. With the mutation, so far it is not yet done, but 712 extract, we can get easily access on that. But again, that record, I say that again, that record is not properly maintained, or it is that while making a data entry, so many of entries are missed. Even the new tenure property is shown as freehold property. Now, based on that is also based on that particular search of the land record is not good enough unless you have an official handwritten record and previous or last 30 years record to be in your hand. Another part of search with regard to corporate clients. Now, the companies or the LLPs, they have the site or search whether that company is in existence, and other search that can be seen from the record of company's office, so ROC's office, that can be done through the chartered accountant or the company secretary. That site is again the mca.gov.in, wherein you can have the status of a particular company or the LLP, whether it is in existence or whether it is dormant or whether it is not in existence. That particular sites you can have that. There is a practice in Bombay, even in Pune, there are search clerks. Now search clerks make a search of the property, or also they are making a due diligence of getting the revenue record in hand. So as a lawyer, one cannot wander here and there to get that particular record, but you can get assistance from such due diligence agencies and get that record in your hand. Now, while one dealing with a particular project, and one has to give a primary title opinion or a title scrutiny and opinion regarding a layout and regarding a final project, there are three aspects. Initially, the client comes to you, he asks you for certain primary opinions. So you can, by basic documents and basic revenue record, you can give the opinion, but not conclusive. Based on the various assumptions, that assumption one has to state in the in your title report, and that assumptions is regarding getting all the documents submitted to you based on it is true and correct, it is from the proper custody, it is executed by the proper person, unless otherwise proved. And for that, one has to, means an advocate has to take an affidavit and declaration from the party. Sometimes the client are reluctant to give the vital documents or to share with the documents. In that case, you have to insist that you need that document, even though you have an original document in front of you. Call for the original certified copy from the government office, because most of the time it is observed and it is seen that the documents are manipulated. Now, documents manipulated in front of you, you cannot rely upon that. So now so many of banks have observing the practice that even though you executed an agreement, still they call for the certified copy of a particular agreement or particular deed to see that whether it is in conformity with the original, because the documents or the scanned copy maintained with the sub-registrar cannot be manipulated. Of course, it can be, but we assume it is a very rare situation that can be manipulated, but it cannot be manipulated. Now, whenever certain things or the agreement or the development is to be done and opinion is to be given, opinion either given to the bank for securing the loan, or opinion given for acquisition of property, or giving a project title opinion. Now, project title opinion or scrutiny of title or investigation of title and giving that opinion basically is a mirror of the project, wherein based on your title report, based on your opinion, the various banking institutions, financial NBCs, the clients, the purchasers relied upon and go ahead with the particular project for purchase. Sometimes now it is a practice, who issued a title report or who issued a search title report is also a matter of concern. It is observed in so many cases, a very new person or very new advocate or new unknown entity had issued a title report, maybe with lot of objections or lot of concerns, and over the period of practice, it is observed that some people's title report are presumed to be, it's not conclusive, presumed to be, it is in order, and they taken it for granted that everything is looked after. So now that is the grace of a particular advocate or particular firm or particular legal entity. If their reports are reliable, means when we say that this particular research or laboratory or this particular entity is reliable, this particular doctor or architect or chartered accountant is reliable. Same thing is with an advocate. When one has expertise in the field to issue such title report, and that title report is well versed with all the concerning all the law, maintaining and taking care of all the legal aspects, is always welcome, And means it is just I can share with you that whenever I used to give a title report to various government authorities. Now let us take a Pune Municipal Corporation or to a PMRD or to other town planning department. So it is seen that this title report came from this particular officer, this particular advocate, or this particular office. So it is everything is taken care of that. Now it is a grace of an advocate to assume by the concerned department or concerned office that this is good enough. Now, to get a mastery on the search and title or giving search is okay. One can now, it is easy to have on online, but expressing a title opinion, scrutiny of title document is a tedious job. Don't take it so lightly that whatever document comes in front of you and you can assume and give an opinion. So whenever document comes, read it properly, read it twice, read it from different angle, from positive angle, negative angle, from third party angle. What will be the interpretation of the document? Is any probability of anything to be come out of this document, or any chances of litigation may arise out of this or not? What could be that? Then what precaution to be done has to be bear in mind, and it is done by a consistent practice, by knowing all the pros and cons of the particular law, because Transfer of Property Act is involved, then Contract Act is involved, Registration Act is involved, Bombay Stamp Act is involved, so many of acts, and then various land laws and tenancy laws and various procedural laws are involved in that. Income tax is involved. So what not? So you have to be well versed with and through with the various provisions of the acts while concluding or giving any opinion on the point. If in giving an opinion, if you find that there is some doubt, don't hesitate to make mention in the report that you have this reservation, and in that case, instead of giving clear marketable title, you have to mention specifically you have this reservation, you recommend that this should be complied with. So you cannot give conditional, or you can give a conditional but with the compliance, but you cannot give a qualified or unqualified report. It should be a very clear title report with the assumptions made therein. And if at particular point of time you find that giving title opinion or the document in front of you is not proper, do not hesitate to refuse to give opinion. May it be at the cost of your client, or may it be at the cost of don't put your credentials, your goodwill at stake by giving a false or misleading report. False, I say false and misleading report. The report given under mistake is sometimes acceptable. That is not a great fault, that can be revoked, that can be cancelled, that can be called back. But giving a misleading or false report amounts to a professional misconduct under the Advocates Act, and an advocate is liable for the disciplinary action from the Bar Council up to suspension or revocation of your sanad. There are, while giving an opinion, what will be the good repercussions? I said your report is welcome in various ones. They find that your report came from this office, it is good enough, it is a good sign, it is a goodwill. At the same time, when the repercussions are such, giving false, that means what is false or what is misleading, the thing, a document which that it is a fraud, it is not in correct perspective, still you certified. When you are actively involved in doing the fraud or supporting to the fraud, and it is proved you made unwanted help or unwanted favorism while preparing the report, that particular practice is unethical and amounts to a misconduct. So try to avoid and do not indulge in giving false report or misleading report. Rather, if it is mistake, you fairly concealed, it is a mistake of fact because document was not in front of us. So I did it. Now I have that document and I made the correction. Even you can correct that, you can rectify that. Now, we are quite aware that now the RERA Practitioners Association dealing with MOFA and RERA, Section 3(2)(a) of the MOFA Act deals about the title report as per the and giving title report, disclosing the clear title is mandatory on the part of an advocate. So one cannot dare to give a false, fraud or misleading report. And the repercussions are also discussed vastly on that point. One of the leading case on the point happened in 1993 about the 1984. There it is. The AR 1984 Supreme Court page number 110, wherein the Supreme Court in Pandurang Dattatreya Khandekar versus Bar Council of Maharashtra held that, laid out a test to determine whether any case would fall under the ambit of misconduct under the Advocates Act. And it has been nicely dealt with that. The fraud, intentionally made a fraud by advocate, comes under the misconduct, but by mistake of fact, it cannot be. And that judgment, in that case, the advocate was not held guilty because it was mistake of fact and it was not a fraud played upon by the advocate. And that particular judgment is followed in multiple cases, and wherein the advocates are rather protected from such baseless litigations or baseless allegations of misconduct. Generally, it is a noble and ethical profession, and no advocates, I have seen that no advocates really do venture to make such a fraud or misrepresentation towards a client unless there is a mistake of fact. Now, one more case is also reported in 1993. That is R.T. Kotak versus Varsha Builder, Maharashtra Law General, Volume 1, page number 323, wherein it is said that while issuing a certificate to a promoters under Section 3(2)(a) of the MOFA Act, advocate must ask question himself about a clear marketable title is there or not. If not, the amount of the format of certificate of title prescribed by the government is subject to an implied statutory exception regarding encumbrances to which one has to disclose by the promoter, and the certificate can be qualified to that extent. Now, one can, if there is an encumbrance, and you can show, even we can see that under the RERA, there is a provision to show or to disclose any encumbrances, if any. Now, what encumbrances? Whether there is any litigation is going on, pending litigation, yes, we have to disclose in the while uploading the total project and the agreement, we have to disclose. Yes, when there is a loan against the land at the project land and the units therein, one has to certify, advocate has to give an encumbrance or non-encumbrance certificate, and it is recommended under the RERA. So in this situation, not to conceal with that and be fair and frank, these are the encumbrances against the project land, and that can save the client, the builder, or even the purchaser of the units, and also the advocates from their ethical practice. There are certain precautions to be taken while investigating the title or scrutiny of title. Their title means, I have said that one has to go with the detailed documents, detailed inventory of the orders, various government statutory implications, then minor's interest, when there is a trust property, when there is a trust property, whether permission under Section 36 of the Bombay Trust Act is given or not, when Watan land is there, then Section 4 or 5 of the various Watan lands, permissions are granted or not. In this case, whenever you have a doubt, don't venture to give a title opinion. When there is a recommendable disclosure, you disclose it. This is, and that can be rectified, that can be taken care of, you mention it. But giving a false or misleading title report is not recommended, and it is not good practice otherwise. And also it put to your credentials, because so many of clients, so many of financial institutes, including buyers, including the project, including the government and other statutory authorities are involved. So stay away from giving false and misleading title report or title opinion, or giving of to simply bypassing the important documents in the respect. Nilesh? Hello?
Yes, sir.
Anything else that I need to cover? And one more aspect I would like to tell you, that you might be aware of the things that government of Maharashtra has introduced a bill. Might be most of you are aware or not. Kindly note that Maharashtra Land Titling Bill 2019. Now that bill is in process, wherein the government is now making a particular specific land titling bill, wherein all these encumbrances, sale, purchase, everything is to be recorded by a separate entity, and wherein the jurisdiction of the civil court is also ousted. And the section 24 of that particular bill is very nice, and against that a schedule has been recommended, wherein the types of transaction affecting the title of immovable property which needs to be recognized. That said, sale, gift, leases of any duration contracts. So near about 14 to 15 transaction has been covered, which has to be notified to that particular department which is government is planning to set up. That is Maharashtra Land Titling Bill. That is awaited. It is not yet now passed, but that is in process. So if you could go to that, there are almost 54 sections in that bill. The suggestion objection period is over in the month of June, July last year. And maybe that this government may take that initiative to pass that bill. But once that bill is come, then there will be a separate land titling bill. So that aspect we are dealing with, that which is right now, it is a practice, but that will be now codified and subjective law. Yes, Nilesh.
Right, sir. So I think we should start with the question answer session.
Sure.
So I request Advocate Sujata Bhave ma'am to please take over the questions.
Thank you, sir. So we have a couple of questions put forth by the participants.
Yes.
The first question would be by Advocate Ajay Zondare.
Yes.
His question is, sir, is there any limitation, in brackets he said time period, to finalize the proceeding by Tahsildar or divisional officer on dispute mutation entry?
Generally, once the objection mutation is in dispute, now the mutation, we as per the record of rights section 149 to 158 relates to of the Maharashtra Land Revenue Code record of rights. Now 149 to 152 is a procedure that notice is issued. Once the notice is issued for mutation, one can have an objection under subsection 3. And once objection is received, because within 15 days, one has to raise the objection. If within 15 days objection is not raised, then the circle officer has to certify it. But objection is received, then it is to be recorded in disputed entry register. Now disputed entry register, once it is recorded, now that particular mutation either heard by the circle officer himself, or it can be recommended to the Tahsildar. Now, as far as possible, practicable, it is no time limit fixed, but it is said that generally it should be disposed of as early as possible within 6 months, but not later than 1 year. But there is no as such time prescribed. The limitation is said ki as early as possible, not beyond 1 year.
Right. Thank you, sir. The next question is from Mr. Raghavendra Rao. Sir, can you explain Pagdi system and succession?
Pagdi.
Right. That's his question, sir.
Pagdi, now that system prevails basically in Mumbai, wherein the properties are owned by mostly by the various landlords, wherein the tenants. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Yes, sir. Yes.
The tenants. Now this question relates to Bombay Rent Control Act, but these tenants are holding the property by and since generation to generation, wherein to remove them or to evict them from the particular property is very difficult. But that particular what the one tenant is there, one tenant wants to move out of that, new tenant has come. So in that situation, it is unofficial, it is not official. The lump sum amount is given to a landlord. That is a pagdi, a premium. That, and then he allowed to another tenant to stay inside the premises. That particular pagdi amount is in fact a premium, otherwise we called it, and it goes to a particular landlord, not to a tenant. Even tenant by means he, with the permission of the landlord, that particular another tenant is inducted. And succession, now tenancy, the succession part in regard to that particular pagdi means you allowed another, the legal heirs to stay inside, or even third party to stay inside. So far as succession is concerned, now succession is either two-way, whether it is succession by of intestate succession or it is testamentary succession. So under what category your case is false? When there is a will, it will be testamentary succession. When there is no will, it will be intestate succession. Again, whether it is a Hindu, it will under the Hindu succession. When it is under the other law, Christian or other, it will come under the Indian succession. Now, what type of succession one contemplates, that depends.
Right, sir. So the next question is from Advocate Pandit. The question is, I have a query that while issuing search and title report for any bank, if any of the title document is not produced for certain reasons, but if the chain of title is clear by other revenue record, can we proceed to issue the report?
We can proceed to, but obviously for the bank, it is a title. Original title documents are required if it is there. Means as initially, while derivating the title, we saw that when certain titles are come by way of succession, there is no title document. The mutations are there. But when certain documents, certain titles came by either way of testamentary succession or purchase or gift or otherwise, in that case, that original document has to be produced. If not produced, the provision is contemplated that if the document for any reason is lost, the document is lost, then one has to lodge a police complaint with the under the head property missing. Now that property missing, now for Pune city or Pune commissionerate area or the PCMC, we have an online system for lost property, LR. And we can lodge the complaint on the online system. You get the certificate. You have to mention the nature of the document, date of title of the document, number of the document, and where it is lost. So place of lost, and on the basis of that titles lost document, you can issue a public notice in any renowned public paper calling that such document is lost, and if anybody found or in custody, without misusing the same, to be revert back to the person. And after certain period, if nobody come forward with the original document, then the procedure advise that the bank or any person relying upon that particular chain title document has to call for an indemnity and undertaking, including a separate affidavit that this particular title document is neither lodged in any court proceeding or filed in any court proceeding, neither created lien with any third person, or it is not kept as a mortgage with any private or registered bank and raised loan. So take that indemnity, get that public notice done, file a police complaint, lodge a police complaint, and along with this, one can rely upon that particular, and bank can rely upon. So advisable is that file a police complaint with the police, then issue a public notice and take the indemnity and declaration from the particular person. And then you certify the title.
Right, sir. The next question, sir, is from Advocate Mukesh Sorte. The question is whether this land titling bill affect advocates' exclusive right to give title certificate in future.
No, in fact, it is a very good move by the government, and it will be, because so far, so long, giving search and title report is nowhere, and neither it is a substantive law nor it is a procedural law so far. Now it is just a general practice for a due diligence. Now it is a move by the government where one could have one stored data. So it is very easy for an advocate to get that particular search with one data or one system. So one can log in as the government will process. In fact, it is a very helpful. It is a very helpful to an advocate, because ultimately this is just logging of a document on a government site. What about the scrutiny of document? What about the conclusion? What about the interpretation of document? That government is not going to do that. It is an advocate who has to give thought for that. So basically, it is in addition or helpful to an advocate for this land titling bill. We should be happy with that, because ultimately we have to interpret, we have to read the document, we have to call for the another chain title document.
Right, sir. So the next question is from Advocate Amit Girme. Amit sir, would you like to go ahead and put forth your question?
Yes, sir, good evening. Hello.
Good evening.
Sir, while giving the possession of any land in the title report, we advocates sitting in the office, we cannot determine whether the client has the possession or not. Sir, will it be wise to give any opinion about the possession in a title
No,
report?
see, possession, one cannot verify the physical possession. Advocate cannot supposed to verify the physical possession of the party. What we can analyze, what we can infer from the title document itself. Now, let us take a case that there is no title document. There is only 712 extract. What 712 extract says ki in a cultivator column, in a ownership column, the name of particular person is there. It presupposes and it carries a value, presumptive value, that he is in possession. This is a case of no title document. When there is a title document, either a sale deed or a purchase deed or any other document or agreement to sale, which presupposes that title follows possession. Jitha title hai, the title follows possession. So title follows possession is one aspect wherein also document says the possession is given or not.
Yes, sir, but sometimes there is a possession on title or the document instrument, but physical possession sometimes is not there.
No,
And
that now see, physical possession we cannot ascertain. When we have a title document in front of us, we have to infer from the recitals stated therein. The document, title follows possession, and the document specifically says it is possession is given. So we presupposes possession is, there is a legal and valid possession, unless otherwise. Under the assumption head, what we say 3, 4, 5, 10 exceptions, that whatever information given that he is in possession, that so and so. So possession part we cannot certify, but possession part we can assert from the title document. Yes, title follows possession and document says possession is given. So the long subsisting revenue entries, long subsisting tax payment receipts presupposes the person is obviously in possession unless otherwise provided.
okay, thank you, sir. Thank you, sir.
The next question is from Advocate Nilesh Gade. Gade sir, please go ahead.
Yeah, good evening. My question is that when there is a registered will executed by a person, however, that registered will is objected by the heirs of that person, that is testator's heirs.
Okay.
So what revenue authorities are supposed to do, whether they have to make the entries as per the registered will or as per the normal heirship?
Now, Nilesh, in this case, it is to be noted that when, see, will, either it is registered or unregistered, is not a concern of the revenue authority. When any particular such testamentary document is being objected, now the propounder of the will in that case has to get the probate of the will from the competent court of law. In that case, the concerned revenue officer is not bound to rely upon the will, because the very will is objected. Now, if it is a document of title, says sale deed, another thing, but when will is highly suspicious, in that case, the thing, matter of practice, if one manages to say, now it is a registered will. Now let us, the person who object is get it cancelled. No, for law of will, the person who rely upon the will and being objected by third party or interested person, the propounder of the will has to apply to the court and to obtain a probate of the will by duly proved from the court. So in that case, revenue authority is not bound upon to rely, and better it is not to rely.
So even if that property is out of the Mumbai, that is the High Court's original jurisdiction, then also this law is applicable.
So under section 57C of the Indian Succession Act, the probate of the will outside the presidency in this Privy Council, the Bombay, Madras and Calcutta, is not called for. So in this case, even the will is registered, because will is optional document. It is not a compulsory registrable document. So section 17 of the Registration Act also comes into picture. It is optional. Under section 18, it is optional document. It is not required to be registered, and will is not required to be registered. Whenever will is objected, the revenue authority may sometimes going ahead and make a stress that it is registered, but they do not really cannot interpret the true meaning of section 17 and section 18 of the Registration Act, because section 18 is optional. Will is an optional, not required to be registered, but the case based on the will propounder, it is a settled and established law that propounder of the will has to prove the will from the competent court of law and get the probate.
Okay, thank you.
Right, sir. The next question is from Advocate Pawar. Please go ahead with your question. The name here says Pawar Vakil. Do you have a question?
Yes, sir. Sir, actually, what happens sometimes when we go through the revenue search, that is mutations and all, what happens? Sometimes there has not been any change for the origin of the ownership. That is the from which person the Satbara or 712 extract has been originated. In that case, on what basis we can say that the ownership has been started from this person?
Now, see, means there is no title document, but only mutation entries. Is it so?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yeah. See, now the land record are maintained in official course, and it is to be true and correct unless cancelled by the higher authority, is a presumption under the Evidence Act and under the revenue. Means entries made in the revenue record does not form the basis of a title, but it carries a presumptive value. When these entries are stand as it is without any order of cancellation, that stands for as good as carrying a presumptive value. Now you said ki it is a miss, the link is not there. Means link is not there means you are not able to get the in between mutations, or there is totally lack of mutation and change of total from A to B.
No, there is no means. How can we say? Like in 1934 or 1948, the land has been recorded in the name of ABC, but there is no any other basis that how the land has been recorded, or because we know the previous mutation entries are very vague and in that particular language. No?
See, in that case, either you can exercise, as I told in this seminar, that the 712 extract is started since 1928-29 onwards. From that day onwards, you can call for that. Even you cannot find the link, then you can go for the Kadai Patrak. Now that Kadai Patrak is Kadai Patrak, you will find the entries, who was the previous owner, how it is got by way of succession, by way of other mode, and then that carries. So if you are not able to trace it out, yes, definitely sometimes it's found that all of a sudden in 1928-29 the entry is recorded without any mutation, but there is no basis, and that entry is carries. So how it comes, whether it is by purchase, whether it is by partition, whether it is by succession, nothing like that. So in that case, you can, if in order to more clarity, you can go for Kadai Patrak. Even that goes to extend to even see, Bombay Land Revenue Code happens to be 1800 around 1889 or 87, something like that, and Bombay Land Revenue Code. So that codes are being and lastly again it is amended in 1925. Then again other 1900 49, and then lastly it is 1966. So basis of these revenue entries based on that previous, it is not the government of Maharashtra or India that made, it is a British system that is we are following. In this situation, either you can go beyond that, or there is again presumptive, because that entries are not rebutted, not cancelled, and it is long subsisting entries without any challenge, then it is presumed to be true and correct, and it has got a presumptive value to have long subsisting possession, long subsisting title, and it is a good marketable title, that what is a law says.
Okay, sir. Thank you. Great, sir. Thank you.
The next participant, I do not have his name, sir, but the question put forth by him is decree of partition is required to be registered in SRO, or we can give our opinion on non-registered decree of partition?
Any decree of partition, now any decree of partition, that again we have to make a two bicep, whether decree of partition is of agricultural or it is non-agricultural or house property or any property. Now agricultural property under section 54 of the CPC, that to be executed through collector. Now that is not required to be registered. So far as a decree for house property or other industrial or commercial property or any other non-agricultural property which creates the title, which creates the right, then it is required to be registered under section 17 of the Registration Act, and it is mandatory. When it is creating a title or right in the property by way of compromise decree, take a compromise decree or a court decree, either you can execute through the court or you can execute through the registration. But exception is agricultural land. For agricultural land, execution is through collector, and that is not required to be registered.
Thank you, sir. The next question is from Advocate Suyog Bhavalka. Suyog, sir? Suyog, sir, are you there? I'll read it on his behalf, sir. While giving search and title report to banks, they provide only photocopies and not original documents. And after giving reports, sometimes bank tells us original document is not available with the client. In that case, what precaution needs to be taken as an empaneled advocate of such banks?
As sometimes ago I have told you that the bank generally gives you the set of Xerox copies because they don't part with the original documents verified by, generally it is recommended that the bank manager should verify these Xerox copies compared with original, or it is photocopy only. So one thing is always remember that manager should verify these photocopies as we generally verified in the court while submitting in the court, that instead of filing the original document, we get it verified from the Nazar or superintendent, and then we filed in the court. Likewise, the bank manager should, while parting the file of a Xerox, one should insist that you should verify this document that you have compared with original or not. If it is compared with original, obviously it is with them. If it is not, then it is a photocopy. You have to mention specifically in the title report checklist, you have got the Xerox copies or photocopies and original is not available. While you make an opinion in a conclusion, one has to, can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Yeah. In a conclusion of giving final title opinion, one has to very specifically mention these. I have received the photocopies and no opportunity to see the original document, subject to keeping or getting on record of the original document, I certified my opinion. So you have to very specifically mention subject to take on record the original document. And if that original document is not there, then I shared with you, then either prerogative to go ahead with the, or the legal advisor's prerogative whether to go ahead with the loan process or not, or to stop over there. If somebody says yes, it is lost, then again, lost property, police complaint, paper notice, indemnity, and based on that, the bank may proceed. Not necessarily bank should, because if the loan is based on deposit of original title documents and the original is not there, then bank cannot proceed with that. Then that goes under the not under equitable, it will go under the simple mortgage, but that is a choice of the bank to go ahead or not.
Thank you, sir. The next question is from Advocate Yolekar. His question is, after mentioning the list of documents available for title report, if afterwards some document revealed wherein the title may be defective, what will be the responsibility of the advocate?
No. Once you make a checklist, you got this document and you verified, you have not yet opened on the point because you required the documents for your opinion, and after revealing the document that there are defect in title, you have to very specifically mention that either you do not certify the title or you certified the title, as I said in the judgment, as a qualified key subject to this is a qualified title report based on that. Means either if you really sure that no, title is damn defective, don't dare to give an opinion, and if it can be cured, then you qualified it subject to getting these clearances or subject to this, it can be or it may be treated as a clear marketable title.
Okay. So the next question is from Mr. Ajay Zondre. He says adverse possession is applicable in respect of Devasthan land, Inam land, Waqf land. That's his question. Is it applicable?
See, for the Devasthan land, Inam land, now these particular the possession of adverse possession as per section 27 of the Limitation Act is generally, it is not applicable, but depends. As such, these cases one has to prove the possession, but again the question is the adverse possession part may be claimed if it is proved substantially, yes, you are in settled possession provision, but that area of the adverse possession is very weak point of claim on the government lands or to the Inam lands, because that is that.
Oh, thank you, sir. There are a couple of participants who have requested for the case law, Pandurang Dattatreya versus Bar Council.
Yeah.
So if you could.
Yeah, we can share you. You have taken that okay, this number AR 1984 Supreme Court. Can you note it down?
Yes, sir.
AR 1984 Supreme Court, page number 110. Panduranga Dattatreya Khandekar versus Bar Council of Maharashtra.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah.
So the next question is from Ms. Tanuja Zadav. Ma'am, please go ahead.
Hello.
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 Yeah, madam, proceed. I can hear you, madam. Proceed.
Namaskar.
Your voice is break.
Hello, can you hear me now?
Yeah, please.
Register आणि टेस्टेशन असेल
Sorry.
प्रोबेट घेतलेलं त्या रजिस्टर बिल वर
I cannot hear you in. Your voice was break, please.
हॅलो, आता सर ऐकू येते?
हा, बोला.
सर रजिस्टर बिल असेल आणि प्रोबेट घेतलेलं नसेल, कारण टेस्टेशनचे लिगल हेअर्सचं काहीच ऑब्जेक्शन नाहीये.
येस.
अशा केसमध्ये रेव्हेन्यू ऑफिस लिगल हेअर्सची नावं रेकॉर्डवर घेऊ शकतात का?
घेऊ शकतात. प्रोव्हिजन ओनली एकच आहे, द विल शुड नॉट हॅव बीन एक्झिक्युटेड or registered in Mumbai, कलकत्ता and चेन्नई. ह्या प्रायव्हेट काउन्सिल ज्या होत्या पूर्वीच्या 3, त्याच्या बाहेर जिथं विल एक्झिक्यूट केलं, रजिस्टर्ड केलंय, त्या विलचं प्रोबेट घ्यायची गरज नाही आणि रेव्हेन्यू अथॉरिटी तुम्हाला कॉल करू शकत नाही की याचं प्रोबेट आणा म्हणून. Even though will is registered or unregistered, the revenue authority has to act upon.
Okay, yeah. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you.
Mr. Ruturaj Chaudhary, please go ahead with your question. Mr. Chaudhary, are you there? Sir, let me read it on his behalf. It says, while carrying out searches, if name of the holder has been recorded as occupant number 1, but there is an entry of rehabilitation reserved for rehabilitation on the other right column in the 712 extract, what should be the opinion?
Now, in this case, madam, rehabilitation remark is shown on the 712 extract. It generally, that particular land is proposed to be acquired for the project affected persons, rehabilitation. Not necessarily it has been acquired. It could have been acquired, then the name of the rehabilitation officer could have been Kabjedar column. So, under the Project Affected Persons Act, there are certain holdings are prescribed under the statute. Means up to what extent, if your holding is more than 5 acres or 8 acres, the surplus land will be subjected to acquisition for the project affected or project rehabilitation. In that case, the builder when purchase from, say, suppose from the agriculture person, and builder is there. Now, in this situation, might be like this: the promoter has applied or the owner has applied to the project of the deputy collector of the project affected persons rehabilitation office for transfer of the property, and in that case the holding is below of the seller. The deputy collector of the displaced persons project officer might have been permitted to purchase the land, and therefore excess land, if it is an excess land is there. Now let us take a case, the 712 extract is containing 8 acres of land or 10 acres of land, out of which the holding up to 5 acre is permitted and 5 acre is excess. So up to 5 acre, the deputy collector project affected person can permit to transfer 5 acre, and remaining 5 or whatever area is subjected to be given as and when required by the government. So that remark will be with reference to that. थोडक्यात असं आहे की समजा त्या जमिनीला होल्डिंग एक त्या पर्टिक्युलर खात्याला एक 8 एकराचं लिमिट ठेवलेलं आहे आणि 8 एकरापेक्षा जास्त जमीन आहे आणि 10 एकर आहे. त्यापैकी 2 एकर अक्वायर करण्याची शक्यता गव्हर्नमेंटने सांगितलेली आहे. अक्वायर करतीलच असं नाहीये, बट प्रोजेक्टेड आहे. तर त्या केसमध्ये कुठल्याही प्रकारचं ट्रान्सफर हे बॅन आहे विदाउट द परमिशन ऑफ द डेप्युटी कलेक्टर ऑफ द प्रोजेक्ट अफेक्टेड. तर त्याच्यामध्ये कलेक्टरनी जर तशी परवानगी दिली असेल डेप्युटी कलेक्टरनी, तर तुम्हाला ती परचेस करता येते आणि जी गव्हर्नमेंटला लागते ती देण्याचं तुम्ही ऍफिडेव्हिट देता की ही जेव्हा केव्हा गव्हर्नमेंटला लागेल तेव्हा आम्ही देऊ, राहिलेली जमीन आम्हाला ट्रान्सफर करायची परवानगी द्या. सो ऑन द बेसिस ऑफ दॅट तो शेरा तसा ठेवून ती परवानगी दिलेली असेल, पण त्याचा अर्थ त्या बिल्डरची जमीन ही गव्हर्नमेंटला अक्वायर्ड होणार आहे असं नाही. दॅट इज आय अँटिसिपेट दिस कुड हॅव बीन हॅपन्ड.
Thank you, sir. Advocate Vaishali Tambe, please go ahead with your question. Vaishali ma'am. Vaishali ma'am, can you hear us?
You can read, Sujata.
Okay. The question is, sir, if the land is in litigation, can we issue TIR? In most of the projects, some litigation are there. It is a long time process to dispose of the case. Can we proceed with indemnity bond from builder? If completion certificate is not there, can we issue clear title?
We cannot issue a clear title because always now section 53 of the Transfer of Property Act will be come into picture, that is lease pendency. Whenever there is a dispute, it hits by section 53. Now section 53, only thing one has to see that whether that litigation as an advocate, prudent advocate, and that litigation is ultimately going to be in favor of the plaintiff person litigating in the court, or it is just a litigation of a nuisance that we have to gather from the record. The another aspect is that when litigation is going on, that does not mean that there is a title hitch. There is a lease is applicable, and if there is no adverse order by the court, one can go ahead with the title based on the, again I said, based on the merits and demerits of the case, means that it is, one can ascertain from the reading of the documents and the plaint and the claim made in the, it is purely a nuisance, because most of the claims are nuisance. But if no adverse order, one can go ahead with the title report, a subjective title report or qualified title report, that this is subject to the outcome of the litigation, title is certified. One can, that a conservative approach we can have.
Thank you, sir.
Hmm.
The next question from Mr. Chetan is, if once we have given the title report and if the loan is disbursed by the bank, and thereafter, if we get knowledge that there was a defect in the title, which we failed to highlight, then how can we rectify the same?
So now what type of defect that has been, whether it is a severe title defect or defect of technical nature, some superfluous, that one has to ascertain from the surrounding circumstances. If it is really a very strong title defect, means the interest of the bank is really jeopardized. In that case, if that cannot be rectified now, and that was not the intentional defect or mistake from the part of the advocate, just we have just discussed with the 1984 case law, and there is no purported to be a fraudulent intention, one can call for or rectify or call for or revoke that particular title opinion. Of course, that is subject to means sharing with the bank and the other repercussions of the recovery of loan and other things. But that depends very, very basic facts, and the basic lacuna or defect in title is really obvious and endangering to the interest of the bank. It will differ case to case.
Thank you, sir. The next question from Mr.
Can you hold 1 minute, ma'am? Just
Sure.
I'll be back.
Yes.
Thank you.
Sure.
Sujata, how many remained?
I have one last question, ma'am.
That's all. Then we will end, because I have two questions to be asked.
Oh.
Because we have to end. Time is running. Yeah.
Just one last question, ma'am.
Yeah. Okay. Okay.
There are a few participants who have raised their hand, but there is no question put forth by them.
Let it be. Let
Yeah,
it be.
yeah.
Let it be. Because everything is clarified. Let it be.
So I think there's one more question come up. So last two questions.
See, almost 8 minutes. Let me check, because it may be similar one. No, there is no question. Is it in private chat? Let it be.
Private.
Only public chat you read. Let it be. Yes.
Oh.
Yes, madam, please.
So there are a couple of questions, but due to paucity of time, I may not be able to read all of these questions. But I would request all the participants to join our RERA group and put your questions there. I would also request Smita ma'am to take over from here.
Yeah, you were having some question, no? No, okay. Sir, on Facebook also, at present, we are going live. So
Yeah.
there are two questions. One, Mr. Ketan Shinde has asked, sir, how is lease pendants registered? So kindly elaborate on that.
Lease pendants is a notice that you can, it's a very simple process to get that. Means you have to draft a lease pendants notice, just 1 page or 2 pages is enough. Even you are not required to annex or attach the copy of the plaint or something like that. You have to just mention the name of the parties, the case number, and properly if you want to include the property, that is enough. Because what lease pendants is that you have to mention this case number is going on. So it is a simple 1 pages or 2, it is a draft. If you need to share that draft, I can share on the group with Nilesh. So one can get, it's very simple way to register. Means there is no stamp duty. It is on a plain paper with minimum registration fees. 1 or back-to-back 2 pages. That's it.
Okay.
You have to
One
just
more
notify
question.
what is the court, in which court it is going on, name, the Pune district court or other court, case number, the parties, and the claim demanded.
Correct.
That's it.
Okay.
Sorry to interrupt you, but I heard there is a Bombay High Court judgment which stopped
Yeah.
the lease pendants notice registration.
No. One thing I'll just clear it.
Registration of lease pendants, I'm saying.
No. Registration of lease pendency happened with the sub-registrar. The lease pendency notice to be recorded to the 70th extract is banned.
Okay,
So,
thank you.
Means that what people were doing, the practice was that nuisance litigations being filed in the court, today filed in the court, tomorrow they get that particular things registered with the sub-registrar's office, and same day or day after tomorrow they carry the copy with the village officer Talati to record in the other right column. Why? To make a nuisance that in all future transactions with the bank and with the government offices and sanctions, when one gets that particular lease pendants notice is there, then everybody stuck up with that no, and they refrain themselves. Now that the things has been not only the because that is a judgment in the state of Maharashtra, and but that particular notification is also issued. I can share you with the Nilesh on your group to get understand. Registration of lease pendency is no bar. Registration of getting that lease pendency noted on the 712 extract is now banned.
Okay. Sir, next question
sir.
is from Mr. Rohit Kulkarni. He has asked you to elaborate on position of the proposed societies and title of them.
Proposed society and
Proposed,
title.
and their title. Yeah.
Proposed society, one society is registered as per even under the MOFA or the RERA. Now within 3 years under the RERA, the title has to be transferred.
True.
All right. So there cannot be a proposed society, it be a registered society. Title cannot be transferred to a proposed society. Means, do you want in the context of the RERA or in some other general context?
He has not clarified, because initially he had raised the question that can you elaborate on regarding proposed society and which are not registered one. Now I asked for clarification. That time he said ki only position of proposed societies and title of them. What we will do, we will message them and get the complete question, so that we will revert
unless
to
and
it.
until
Yes.
see, unless and until society is registered, means
Correct.
minimum required people are there 51% above the societies to be registered. And once
True.
society is registered, you got the completion certificate, then within 3 years one has to transfer the title.
Okay.
That is a settled position.
Correct.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you very much, sir. For that's all for the day. I will ask Mr. Varun to kindly tender vote of thanks to the sir. Varun?
Yes, hello.
Yes, you are audible.
Respected Advocate Anil Tambe sir, and all the participants who are attending this webinar through Zoom meetings, YouTube and Facebook Live. It's my privilege to have been asked to propose a vote of thanks on this occasion. I, on behalf of RERA Practitioners Association Pune, extend a very hearty vote of thanks to Tambe sir for gracing this occasion. Thank you, sir, for the interesting and meaningful webinar. I am happy to express vote of thanks to our president, Mr. Nilesh Borate, for conducting the webinars on different topics. As no program can become successful with a single person, I extend big thanks to all core committee members. Lastly, I thank all the participants for making this webinar successful. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. Thank you all,
Thank you.
everybody thank you, Nilesh, and all the RERA committee members giving me an opportunity to express my views. And thank you very much.
Thank you,
sir.
sir.
Thank
Have
you,
a nice day. Stay safe. Thank you,
Thank you.
sir.
Thank you. Thank you.